Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is, of course, Hump Day, which means it's Wednesday, the middle of the week, getting over the hump, as it were. Of course, we're going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. Of course, as always, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and/or ask questions, and I will try to answer them in the best to my ability. So, as I said, we're going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. Um, Saw some interesting cartoons earlier as I was, earlier today, including, of course, the Fox and the Crow, both as police officers, and Foxy Flatfoots. Let's see. Bugs and Porky paired up again in Daffy Doodles, also known as Mustache Maniac, in which Daffy's going around putting mustaches on everything. Of course, saw a Gandy Goose and Sourpuss cartoon in which they were sharing a dream, and in that, and in the dream, of course, you got a cameo from Farmer Alfalfa. Anyways, I'm gonna need to go off camera here for a moment. I'll be right back, but I'll put some music on while I'm gone. All right, sorry about that. Anyways, so now we're past the 5 minute mark. In fact, we're actually coming up on 9 minutes. So, anyways, let's get right into then what's going to be going on tonight. So, got one article I'm going to go over from Bleeding Fool. It's going to be uh, another edition of the Indie Comic Showcase, number 316, I believe. And we'll be kind of highlighting some upcoming comic releases. Then we will also, then of course, then after that we'll get into the Russian wrap up, look back to last night's NXT, where some stuff, where some there are a couple of title changes as well as other interesting stuff coming out of it. And then we'll look ahead to tonight's Dynamite, and then we'll wrap things up with this day and each is right. I just need to go off camera real quickly one more time here. I'll be right back as soon, of course, as I get everything done. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back now. So, anyways, let's get into the article. Let's get into the article that we're gonna go over tonight. Here, let me pull that up. And anyways, a friendly reminder, of course, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Now, with that being said, let me go. So, all right, we have everything up here, so let's go ahead and get into this. Indie Comic Showcase number 316, Suck You Busted, Butch Killigan, and Vicious Vixens of Dakuwanga. That last one, I think we had covered before here. I do distinctly remember that. I don't know if it's a new issue or maybe just another avenue that they're going in terms of, but I guess we'll find that out enough in due time. Article by Chris Braley, published today, February 25th, 2026. So let's see what he has to say here, as always. Welcome back to another installment of Indie Comic Showcase, a weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding in some way, or just completely self-publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $25 bundle, and of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers. On Indie Comic Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you how you can check out the project for yourself. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully support by backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out and for being the best part of Indie Comics. Let's jump in. So the first thing here is Butch Killigan 3, Tainted Veins by Sven Stoffels. Now, of course, whoa, that's, wow. Look at that. Oh, man. Anyways. All right, so let me go grab the link here. So share it so you guys can. And this first one, of course, is a Fund My Comic project. Alright, so let's go ahead and share the link with you guys. First, of course, gotta get the title out there. There it is for the YouTube, and now, of course, to put it into the Rumble forum or Rumble site here. All right, so there's the link on both sites there. All right, it's a Fund My Comic project. That's where you can find it. There's the link. All right, so let's get into the interview here that Chris Braley did. Butch Killigan 3, Tainted Veins by Sven Stoffels. Look at the art there. That girl looks like she's freaked. Let's see what this is all about here. So, Chris Braley, for those just hearing about it, what's a quick pitch for your new project? What kind of story can readers expect from Butch Killigan? Sven Stoffels. Butch Killigan is a hard-boiled DEA detective. I believe DEA is Drug Enforcement Agency, who wakes from a coma to find Ultra City transformed into a sissified dystopia. Sissified dystopia. Interesting language there. Where all drugs are legal except one, spore. The eldritch substance that put him under and stole his pregnant wife is the only thing still run by the underworld. Now, the last man in a world that doesn't need them anymore, Butch carves through malformed monstrosities, corporate zealots, and drug-fueled freaks to find his wife and exact his revenge. 120 pages of raw cyberpunk noir, black and white, brutal action, and savage satire. Wow! Quite a take there. And kind of, it's an interesting follow-up to what we were talking about last night with how like the difference between the mainstream comics and the indie comics, and how indie comics and manga are of course still doing a lot of like a lot of the other genres outside of superheroes, right? Okay, so here we go. On to the next. Chris, that sounds intense. Where did the idea for this story come from? What made you decide to self-publish it? Sven, I've always been into cyberpunk and satire. Being from the animation industry, I've always tried to combine comedy and action. Butch Killigan started as a way to merge many of my favorite influences into something uncompromising and raw. I wanted to tell a story that didn't pull punches or soften edges for mass appeal. Hmm. Sounds like the guy's on the right track there. Self publishing through crowdfunding gives me complete creative control. No editorial committees, no sanitizing the violence or themes. My backers funded books 1 and 2. I delivered on time both times, and now we're closing out Arc 1 together. So no wonder it says book, Butch Killigan 3, part 3 of a. Oh, and there, I guess the covers there of the first two there from Ironic Comics. Chris, who do you think this comment is best suited for? What kind of readers are you hoping to reach? Sven, fans of cyberpunk, in parentheses here, things like Blade Runner, Akira, Ghost in the Shell, hard-boiled noir, in parentheses like Sin City or Batman the Animated Series, on parentheses, and gritty action comics that don't shy away from violence or dystopian bleakness. This is for readers who want unfiltered storytelling without the polish and safety of mainstream comics. You're tired of sanitized heroes and want something with teeth, this is it. Chris, let's talk about your visual approach. How would you describe your style and creative process on this project? Sven, my style is a mix of Franco-Belgian comics. I grew up on Asterix and Amsterdam adult comics combined with Bruce Timm's um, clean line work from Batman the Animated Series and the brutal intensity of manga like Berserk. Paul Verhoeven's um, satirical action films Robocop and Starship Troopers shaped how I approach dystopian violence and social commentary. I work solo, writing and drawing everything myself, which keeps the vision uncompromised. The process is straightforward, tough thumbnails, tight layouts, then heavy inking with sharp blacks and high con. So he's already answering some of the questions that he's already delving and answering the questions that Chris was going to probably ask anyways in regards to like. So I get this guy. Of course, if this guy's done books before, he's probably been on this interview before as well. So yeah. Chris, simple and direct. What does your production workflow look like, and how complete is this latest? So he still asked the question, even though I think he answered it in that previous question. Sven, before launch, I make sure the books are finished. Books 1 and 2 were both 100% completed before starting their campaign and delivered on time, and so is book 3. Chris, nice. I know you've been at this for a while. What have you learned from self-publishing and crowdfunding your own work? Sven, 2 campaigns, 2 on-time deliveries, 730 total backers. I've learned that consistency and communication matter more than hype. Crowdfunding lets me build an audience that actually wants unfiltered storytelling without editorial committees softening the edges. The biggest lesson: keep production realistic, work with a reliable fulfillment partner, and never overpromise on delivery dates. My backers fund the books. I deliver the books. Repeat. So watch, rinse, repeat, right? Oh, here we go. I'm getting a little mesmerized by the artwork there. Chris, is this the end for Butch Killigan, or do you have more stories planned in this world? Sven, Book 3 closes out Arc 1, but Butch Killigan's story is far from over. Arc 2 will dig deeper into Ultra City's conspiracies and forces that broke the world. There's a bigger mythology at play. Spore is just the surface. I'm in this for the long haul. So he's planning on making this a huge book here. Tainted Veins. Chris, finally, for collectors and backers, what kind of perks or special features can they look forward to in this campaign? Sven, this campaign offers an Arc 1 omnibus hardcover, all 3 volumes, 376 pages. Let's see, 3 volumes, 376 pages. That's about 125 pages per book. To be exact, 125 and a third page per book. Collected in a premium hardcover format for only $50 during the campaign. Post campaign retail will be $70 plus USD plus USD or $70 plus USD, making this a massive value for backers. We also offer signed head sketches, limited to 40 or 50, in parentheses there. Exclusive standees, stickers, sticker sheets, and trading cards. First 24-hour backers get a free signed limited print. Chris, looks great, Sven. Good luck on the campaign. Alrighty then. So that was Butch Killigan. Butch Killigan 3, Veins. So now we'll get ready to move on to the next book that was featured in this article, which is The Vicious Vixens of Dakuwanga 1 through 4 by, oh boy, by Ben Lacey. Yeah. So I guess they forgot in the title thing there to put Ben Lacey's name right there. 1 through 4. Yeah, this has been an ongoing series. That's why, because I know we've talked about this book, this series before. So let me go grab the link. This is, of course, a Kickstarter campaign. Let's bring this up. The Vicious Vixens of Dakuwanga, but 1 through 4. This is, of course, a Kickstarter campaign. Alright, so we also put that in the All right, so there's the link for that now. I just put it up. So there it is on YouTube. The Vision Vid 1 through 4. And of course, we have, of course, talked about this particular, and there it is in Rumble. Let's see now. Of course, the Vixens of Dakuwanga by 1 through 4 by Ben Lacey, albeit he forgot to put that in the title there. But let's get into this. So, Chris Braley, for readers hearing about it for the first time, what's a quick pitch for the Vicious Victims of Dakuwanga? What kind of story are we in for? Ben Lacey. The mob has gathered 8 women, each with a unique skill set, for a special mission and is holding their youngest member hostage. Now, to save her, they must fight their way into the lost city of gold. Chris, that's a great setup. Where did the idea for this spin-off come from, and what made you decide to self-publish it? Ben, in my other comic, Shark of War, the main character saves 8 women trapped at sea. They only had a brief appearance, but afterward I began to wonder who they were and why they were out at sea. Soon I had a whole story thought up for them, which became the Vicious Victims of Dakuwanga. Chris, who do you see as the audience for this series? What kind of comic readers will really connect with it? Ben, anyone who likes strong, beautiful women in kick butt action. The book's action veers toward R rated, and there is partial nudity, some butt shots, and one NSFW variant cover. So if you're into fan service, folks, there you go. Chris, you're juggling a big cast, 8 main characters. Tell us a bit about your storytelling style and creative process for a project like this. Um, then, I consider myself a strong plotter, which helps in handling a fairly large cast and making each of them integral to the story. I also write prose, short stories, in addition to comics, and I think that's helped me develop as a writer overall. Chris, let's talk about your team. Who else helped bring the Vicious Vixens of Dakuwanga to life? Ben, Nico Toran has been my artist for all 4 issues. He does very detailed panels and gives each of the women a unique yet attractive look. Nikki Powers is the letterer and has lettered every one of my books. Chris, how do you typically handle production, and where are things at with this current issue? Ben, normally I write a script, then have Nico illustrate the first 8 pages and draw a cover before going to Kickstarter. This time, though, except for anything involving backers who paid to appear in the book, the entire book is finished, including the lettering. Chris, you've done a few of these campaigns and now. What have you learned about self publishing and crowdfunding through this process? Ben, you constantly have to be improving and building your audience. Unlike writing a quote unquote name character, there are no safety nets in indie comics. You got to bring your best stuff and do it again and again. I hope I'm doing that. Chris, will the victim's adventures continue after this? Do you have more stories planned? Ben, yes, definitely. These women have a lot more cool adventures left to tell. Yeah. I mean, I kind of get a feel it's like more of an all female cast, it's similar to the anime Black Lagoon, is what I'm getting. Um, these girls right here are reminding me of the main character from that, or the main female character, anyways. Um, and anyways, continuing on here, let's see. Chris, what kind of perks or special features can backers expect from this campaign? Ben, I've got popular cover artist Yum doing both a nice and a naughty cover. There's also a cosplay cover by Nigerian model Miratala Mercy, plus four other cosplay covers by different models for the earlier issues. Chris, before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to share with our readers? Ben, yes. There's a link at the top of the Kickstarter page that lets you read issue number 1 for free. No signups, no email required. Just click and read. I think anyone who checks it out will want to see more. Chris, thanks for bringing this project to our attention, Ben. Good luck. All right. And now, Suck You Busted number 4. Love, Lust, and Lesbians by Isaac Fox. So let me go let me go find let me go grab the link here. And here's another Kickstarter campaign. All right, so go back up here for a moment. To hope that and get all that in there. Oh, actually, it doesn't matter because I was. So there's a link to that one. You guys want to go check that out. Let's see now. So Suck You Busted, number 4, Love, Lust, and Lesbians by Isaac Fox. And let's see, an actual throat, I guess, or astral throat. Let's take a look here and see what's going on here. So, Chris Braley. For those new to the series, what's a quick pitch for Suck You Busted number 4, Love, Lust, and Lesbians? What's the latest chapter all about? Isaac Fox. A Callipygian succubus, a sexy witch, a bit of pet play, and one big climax. Okay, quite a first line there. It'll take more than ball gags and bourbon. Oh boy, to save the day this time. This guy's really putting the fetish world out there. Can agents Liam J. White and Rita the succubus, stop Romina the witch's sinister plot to conquer Jacksonville, or will they be pounded into submission? Chris, that's quite the teaser. Where did the original idea for Suck You Busted come from, and what made you decide to self-publish it? Isaac, Suck You Busted was born from a desire to expand beyond the darker and more serious tones of my usual work. I've been waiting to write a story about a succubus, but instead of the usual trope of making them simple eye candy, I wanted to give the concept depth and purpose. Etchy is fun, but etchy with purpose is fantastic. I kind of like the guy's thought process on that. That's a very interesting way to look at it. Let's see. I self-publish to avoid the often unpopular demands of producers or middlemen. Instead, focus on what my audience wants. That direct connection helps me deliver exactly what they're looking for. Oh, look here. Huh. Let's see, Chris. It's a pretty bold and mature premise. Who is this comic best suited for? Isaac. Suck You Busted is absolutely for adults ages 18 and up only. If you're a person of culture and enjoy anime like High School DxD or Seikon no Quasar, or comics like Sunstone, you're in the right place. If you like sexy succubi mixed with raunchy comedy, this book is for you. Succubi, okay, so that's a proper plural term for that. All right, that was on me. Anyways, Chris, what's your creative process like? How do you approach building something with that balance of humor, action, and heat? Isaac, when a comic goes into production, I start by outlining a list of quote unquote must have moments, scenes or events that define that issue. I create detailed character sheets covering even the smallest traits so I understand each character completely, something I learned from Hirohiko Araki. From there, I write the script, edit it myself and pass it through my editors before it moves to the art team. Every step is meant to keep quality and consistency high. Chris, speaking of your art team, tell us about the folks who helped you bring Succubus number 4 to life. Isaac, the comic was drawn by Mitsublinger, who has since retired from comics. Our coloring was handled by our chief colorist, now chief artist, Krias. Um, Much of our fictional tech, in world items, and even custom fonts were designed by Quick. I also work with 2 editors who go through scripts separately, each focusing on different types of issues and improvements. Blast! Bounce! Flying kick! Crash! Chris, what's your production workflow like, and how far along is this issue? Isaac, I tend to work in long bursts, 10 to 15 hours straight, when I'm really in the zone until a script or idea is ready. A script usually takes 1 or 2 weeks to finish, including the editing and polishing stages. Once it's ready, it goes to the art team. The artists deliver pages, a few at a time, for review, and we use an organized document system to manage revisions for both the artist and colorist, like all Astral Ticket comics, because that's what it's called, Astral Tickets. Succubusted number 4 is completely finished well before it ever hits Kickstarter. Chris, you've clearly been around the self-publishing block. What's the biggest lesson you've learned from crowdfunding and creating independently? Isaac, there will always be unforeseen troubles. Could be a postal strike, a supplier delay, or even personal illness slowing things down. The trick is to take a page from Batman. Always be prepared for the unexpected. Something will happen to make your campaign or production harder, so plan for it. Schedule more time than you think you need. The extra window can save your life. Look at those tattoos. That's a definite attention grabber. Chris, so is this really the end of the story for Rita and Liam? Or do you plan to keep it going past issue 4? Isaac, issue number 4 was originally meant to wrap up the series, answering all the major questions and resolving the main arcs. Does Rita confess her feelings for Liam? Do they finally get together? And what's going on between Kimiko and Queen Bastira? How kinky does it get? When issue number 3 dropped, I kept hearing one consistent complaint. Fans didn't want the story to end. By popular demand, we're continuing with a whole new arc, Succubusted 2 Dirty Angels number 1, which sends our heroes on a brand new assignment. Maybe this will become a full-on series where about hunting down succubuses. Now, for those of you who don't know what a succubus is a type of demon that essentially drains your energy basically by engaging with you sexually. The succubus, I think that a term for the male, but the succubus is a female demon. I don't know what I think there's a male version, but the male versions are called something slightly different. So, and I can't think of the term right now, but there might be somebody in the chat who might know the term. So, anyways, Chris, that's great news for fans. What can backers expect from the current campaign? Any extras or special editions? Isaac, most of our variant covers never get reprinted, so grab them while you can. Since this is the end of our special, we're also offering posters featuring some of our most popular covers, including art by Lyrics and Cute Sexy Robots. Collector's editions will come in numbered and gold foiled variants by popular demand. Our succubus booty mouse pads are back. We're also introducing exclusive trading cards as part of an upcoming adult-only card game featuring characters from across the Astral Ticket comic universe. I guess there's Liam and Rita right there, I guess. Chris, before we let you go, any final thoughts you'd like to share with your readers? Isaac, issue number 4, wow. This story about a purple-haired succubus with a small chest and a huge booty honestly changed my life. And you, the readers, changed my life too. I can't thank you enough for supporting my work and our small team at Astral Ticket Comics. We feel an obligation to make our readers happy, whether it's giving you a character you relate to or just delivering a fun, sexy escape. We owe you everything for helping us get this far. Thank you. Chris, it's my pleasure, Isaac. Keep on creating. That's it for this installment. If you're a creator ramping up your own campaign or have a comic available for purchase online and you want to be featured in our weekly comic, click here so we can hopefully help you get more eyes on your crowdfunding comic project. Until next time, supporting the comics. Alrighty then, so there we go. As always, it took a huge chunk of the show to get through, but still pretty good there. Let me see here. So let me just rewind a bit here and review the material we covered tonight. So the first book that was featured in this article was Butch Gilligan number 3, Tainted Veins. And here it's a Fund My Comic project. There are the links to it if you guys want to go check that out. Check that out and see if you want to support that project. Also, the second book that was featured tonight, The Vicious Victims of Dakuwanga, 1 through 4. There's a link to that. It's a Kickstarter campaign. And then finally, of course, we got Succubusted number 4, Love, Lust, and Lesbians. There's the link there. I want to go check that out. Of course, aside from reading the articles themselves, I can always come here and I will feature these articles and give my own commentary as well on what we're reading. Well, anyways, now with that being said and done, as we are basically finished with that part. Oh wait, why did I do that? Oopsie. I still needed that extra window for one more thing. And I can bring that back up. So we're gonna now that we're done with the main article, of course, we're gonna go ahead and take a look. take a look back at last night's NXT, look ahead to tonight's Dynamite. We're about to get into the wrestling wrap up. Of course, as soon as I can, first off, on the cursor here. And now, let's see. All right. And of course, a friendly reminder, as always, if you guys haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. With that being said, let's get into the wrestling wrap up here. Last night's NXT was held at, of course, the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida, airing on the CW with Booker T and Vic Joseph on commentary. The night opened up with a NXT Tag Team title match as the Dark State duo of Osiris Griffin and Saquon Sugars with Cutter James and Deion Lennox in ringside. Were answering the challenge of Vanity Project of Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes with, of course, Jackson Drake in their corner. And was coming with some help from Tony D'Angelo, who was coming out to get some revenge on Dark State and making sure they lost. The Vanity Project would defeat Dark State with, of course, Tony D'Angelo's help to become the new NXT Tag Team Champions. Then you had a situation where you had, of course, Keanu Carver defeat Sean Legacy in 4 minutes 13 seconds. Then in the WWE Speed title match, a triple threat match that the time limit was extended. Normally, speed title matches are 5 minutes, but it was extended to 7 due to the fact that this was a triple threat match with Elio LaFleur getting the victory and becoming the new champion over former champ Jasper Troy and the other challenger in the match, Eli Knight. Of course, this match was made into a triple threat by Robert Stone on last week's NXT. Then in a match for the NXT Women's title, Jacy Jayne would retain over Sol Ruca. Now, just prior to the match, Zaruka somewhat turned on, Zarya turned on Sol Ruca just prior to the match, which led to a very quick victory for Jacy Jayne for a minute. It would eventually lead to a confrontation between Jayne and Zarya later on in the night, where Zarya said, "Well, I helped you win the title, retain your title, so now you're going to give me a shot." Even though Fatal Influence had sat there and tried to say no, she won it on her own. Bell rang, she got the pin, and but Zaruga turned on Zarya turned on Sol Ruca, delivering an F5 to her in the ring. Then turning around and beating her up after the match, and then confronting Jacy Jayne later on in the evening. Then in a number one in the semifinal match for the number one contender tournament to see who would next challenge the women's speed champion Fallon Henley, Thea Hall got what many would consider the upset victory over Blake Monroe with some unexpected help from Jada Parker, who'd recently started feuding with Blake Monroe. Jada Parker came out while the ref was distracted, beat up on Blake Monroe, and was able to help Thea Hall gain the victory to advance in the tournament. Then in a battle in a battle between two guys. Well, one guy who's still with Andre Chase, the other who left, Uriah Connors with Shani Lorenzo, Ariana Grace, and Lexis King in his corner. defeated Cale Dixon of Andre Chase, as I believe Cale Dixon and Andre Chase were looking to, I guess, get some revenge for Uriah Khan leaving them. And then the main event saw a crowning of a new NXT North American champion as Miles Bourne would defeat Ethan Page to become the new NXT North American champion. So that's all that happened on last night's NXT. So now we're going to look ahead to tonight's Dynamite, see what's going to be going down on Dynamite tonight. All right, so tonight's Dynamite, which comes from the Mason Ballroom in Denver, Colorado, will be airing on TBS. In an eliminator match for a chance at the Continental title, El Clone will be challenging Jon Moxley. As with all eliminator matches, if El Clone should win the match outright or last a time limit, he will have earned a shot at Jon Moxley to for the AEW Continental title. Orange Cassidy of the Conglomeration is set to take on Gabe Kidd, who has, of course, a loose affiliation with the Death Riders, representing Bullet Club War Dogs here. In a battle of two members of tag teams, Mansoor of the M&M Collection will be taking on the Jet Kevin Knight from Jet Speed. Mark Davis of the Don Callis family is set to take on Brody King, what should promise to be a huge Haas fight. In a rematch from Grand Slam Australia, the Babes of Wrath of Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale will be defending against Megabat of Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. And in a Mile High Madness, anything goes 10-man tag match, you have Jungle Jack Perry teaming with the Rascals duo of Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz. And the Young Bucks of Matt and Nick Jackson to take on AEW World Tag Team Champions FTR of Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, and the demand of National Champion Ricochet and the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan and Toa Leona. All right, so that's all I got for the wrestling wrap-up. So now, with today being, of course, Wednesday, February 25th, 2026, let's go ahead and take a look back at Nietzsche history here. Let me just 1956 and 2021. All right. So first off, we're going to head back 80 years ago. As on this date, 80 years ago today, the first issue of Street Smith's Blackstone Master Magician Comics went on sale on this date back in 1946. That was 80 years ago. It had a pretty short run of only 3 issues, but one of those, but again, it was Street Smith here. The cover price was 10 cents and was 48 pages. So on this date, 80 years ago today, the first issue of Blackstone Master Magician Comics from Street Smith went on sale on this date. Now moving on to the year, as soon as I bring that up, of course. Moving on to the year 1956, 70 years ago today, on this date, 70 years ago today. 70 years ago today. The Warner Brothers cartoon Broomstick Bunny premiered in movie theaters on this date back in 1956. So Broomstick Bunny is a 1956 Warner Brothers Looney Tunes short directed by Chuck Jones. The short was released on February 25th, 1956, and stars Bugs Bunny. The short is notable for being June Foray's first time working with Jones, though she had previously worked in a couple of shorts for other directors. She continued to collaborate with him after Warner's closed their animation department. Foray herself would continue to collaborate with Warner Brothers up until her death. So I believe June Foray played the witch here. Yeah. Mel Blanc, of course, doing Bugs Bunny and the Genie in this, while June Foray would portray Witch Hazel here. So 70 years ago, Broomstick Bunny premiered in movie theaters. Well, now we'll move to the year 2006, 20 years ago today. And on this date in the year 2006, Ring of Honor held its 4th anniversary show from the Inman Sports Club in Edison, New Jersey. The main event saw Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions Austin Aries and Roderick Strong defeat AJ Styles and Matt Sydal. Also on the match, Bryan Danielson retained the Ring of Honor World Championship over Jimmy Rave. In a ghetto street fight, Homicide defeated Colt Cabana. Christopher Daniels and BJ Whitmer ended up fighting to a no contest when wrestlers from CZW or Combat Zone Wrestling hit the ring. In one of their many matches from over the years, Samoa Joe defeated Jay Lethal. In a four-corner survival match, Adam Pearce defeated Claudio Castagnoli, Jay Fury, and Azrael. The show opened up with the Briscoe brothers, Jay and Mark Briscoe, defeating Tony Mamaluke, Sal Raniero, Jason Blade, and Kid Makazi in a 2-on-4 handicap match. So that commentary was provided by, of course, Dave Prazak, Jimmy Bauer, and Lenny Leonard. So that happened 20 years ago today, and then we move ahead to the year 2021, 5 years ago today. So I'll bring that up, of course. So on this date, 5 years ago in 2021, from JC Stats, Kyo in Kyoto from the Maiko House premiered on Japanese television on this date back in 2021. So Kyo in Kyoto from the Maiko House is a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Aiko Koyama. It was serialized in Shogakukan's Shonen Manga magazine, Weekly Shonen Sunday, from December 2016 to January 2025, with its chapters collected in 30 tankobon volumes. The series takes place in the Geisha district in Kyoto, follows a titular character, Kyo, as she cooks up delicacies every day to support her friend Sumiri and the other Maiko. An anime television series adaptation by J.C. Staff aired worldwide from February 2021 to January 2022 on NHK World. And it was followed by a Japanese broadcast on NHK E from October 2021 to June 2022, a live-action series titled in English as The Makanai Cooking for the Maiko House, that are produced and written and directed by Hirokazu Koreeda for Netflix, premiered in January 2023. So there we go. So with that, I thank you all for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. We'll be back with more Niche News tomorrow, of course. And don't forget that Sunday I'll be joined by Apex from Apex Comics, and we'll be we'll be taking another trip down Comics History Lane, looking back at comics that went on sale in August of 1940. This week we'll be focusing in on Dell Comics / Western Publishing. So with that, I thank you all for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.